What if your everyday genius was hiding in plain sight? For Lena Petrova, navigating the labyrinthine aisles of the suburban grocery store was less a chore and more a complex, multivariable equation. Her cart, overflowing with a week's worth of demands, followed an invisible, perfectly optimized route, each turn calculated to shave precious seconds off her family's sprawling daily errands. The aroma of burnt toast mingled with the lingering scent of stale coffee in Lena's modest kitchen, the perfume of her 34-year-old life. Toys littered the living room floor, a colorful testament to Leo and Mia's morning chaos. As she wiped down sticky countertops, her mind, a quiet supercomputer, ran algorithms for the day ahead. School drop-offs, library returns, a vet appointment across town, grocery pickup, all perfectly mapped, timed, and rerouted to avoid peak traffic. No one watching her wrangle a spilled cereal box would guess that Lena once debated theoretical geographic modeling. No one knew that 4 years ago she had been on the cusp of a groundbreaking thesis, a life painted in the vibrant colors of academic pursuit. Her dream had dissolved into a haze of diapers and domesticity. A worn, dog-eared geography textbook lay half-hidden on a dusty bookshelf, a silent whisper of a life that belonged to someone else. Can a gift like this really be just a trick of memory? At the local park, amidst the cheerful din of children, Lena sat beside her friend Chloe. "I swear I can never find that new organic market," Chloe sighed, scrolling frustratedly on her phone. "It's always a nightmare. Dead ends everywhere." Lena, absently watching Leo scale the monkey bars, smiled. "It's not bad if you take Elm to the old industrial road, then cut through the back of the hardware store parking lot. Avoids the morning rush on Main Street. Even with the new construction on Maple, you'll hit it in 15 minutes flat." Chloe stared, mouth agape. "How do you do that? You're like a human GPS." Lena just shrugged. "Oh, I don't know, just remembering." What if you could see traffic before it happens? Later that afternoon, the familiar red brake lights flared ahead, a sudden, unexpected snarl on the main artery to the kids' school. Frustration tightened in Lena's chest. This wasn't in the plan. But then, her mind clicked. She saw not just the cars, but the historical data. The construction updates she'd overheard at the coffee shop. The subtle inclines and declines of the city grid. A mental overlay appeared, routes flashing red, yellow, green. She swerved right, taking a detour through a residential area she hadn't used in months, a path only she remembered as viable during this specific hour. She mused on the beautiful inefficiency of city planning, a system ripe for her unique brand of optimization. Who is watching your hidden talents? In a quiet coffee shop adjacent to the park, Julian Thorne nursed a single black coffee. He wasn't on his phone, nor was he trying to be seen. He was just watching. Dressed in a simple dark gray cashmere sweater and charcoal trousers, there was no flashy watch, no ostentatious display of wealth. Yet the cut of his clothes and the quiet intensity in his gaze spoke of a different world. He observed the park with an analytical precision, his eyes tracking human patterns. He saw the harried mom, Lena, effortlessly guiding her friend through a complex web of directions, her eyes scanning the distant cityscape with an almost preternatural awareness. She didn't just recall roads, she seemed to asterisk feel their flow, their bottlenecks, their hidden shortcuts. It wasn't just memory. It was a profound, spatial intelligence, an unseen masterpiece in action. Julian took a slow sip of his coffee, a faint, unreadable flicker in his eyes. He made a discreet note on his sleek, transparent tablet. He wasn't just watching a mom, he was waiting. What if a mysterious delivery held your future? The late afternoon sun cast long, lazy shadows across Lena Petrova's front porch, painting the suburban street in familiar gold. She was wrestling a rogue sprinkler head when the black sedan, sleek and silent as a phantom, pulled up to the curb. A man in a dark uniform, his face impassive, stepped out and placed a package on her welcome mat. No knock, no doorbell, just a nod before he melted back into the car, which then glided away as silently as it had arrived. Lena stared at the package. It was a minimalist rectangle of heavy matte black cardstock, sealed with an elegant, almost invisible, wax emblem she didn't recognize. There was no sender address, no postal marks, just her name, embossed in silver, stark against the darkness. Her heart gave a curious flutter. It felt less like a delivery, and more like a summons. Who sent this? And why? A billionaire's invitation, too good to be true? Back in the chaotic sanctity of her kitchen, amidst half-eaten toast and scattered homework, Lena turned the package over in her hands. The sleekness of it, the almost intimidating simplicity, made her feel strangely out of place, like a piece of a children's puzzle dropped into a high-tech circuit board. With trembling fingers, she broke the seal. Inside, 2 items rested on a bed of black tissue paper. The first was a business card, thick and cool to the touch, embossed with a bold, abstract logo of interconnected lines. Thorne Industries, it read, in crisp silver lettering, and beneath it, Julian Thorne, CEO. Lena's breath caught. Julian Thorne, the reclusive tech billionaire, whose name was whispered in headlines about market disruptions and AI breakthroughs. The second item was a note on matching black stationery. The handwriting was sharp, decisive. "Miss Petrova," it began, "I believe you possess a rare talent for discerning unseen patterns in uncharted territories. Your gift is wasted. It is needed. 1 note, 1 ticket, 1 impossible choice." Lena's mind reeled. Wasted? Needed? The words vibrated with an unsettling mix of insult and promise. Beneath the note, nestled like a dark jewel, was a reservation confirmation. Not for a commercial flight, but for a private jet, a Gulfstream G650. Destination, New York City. Departure, tomorrow, 10 a.m. from a regional airport she'd never even heard of. And alongside it, a booking confirmation for a lavish apartment overlooking Central Park. The note had a chilling final line. "Your talent is needed. A car will arrive at your address tomorrow at 8 a.m. This is not a request." Lena sank onto a kitchen chair, the sleek black items scattered across her worn formica table. Was this a prank? An elaborate, cruel joke orchestrated by some bored mogul? But the expense, the sheer audacity, it felt impossibly real. A wild, dangerous excitement began to churn beneath the fear. Is this a dream opportunity or a nightmare waiting to happen? Later that evening, Chloe, Lena's best friend and a paralegal whose pragmatism could cut through steel, paced Lena's living room like a worried lioness. Lena had laid out the package contents on the coffee table. "Okay, hold on, Lena," Chloe said, her voice tight with concern. "A mysterious billionaire? A private jet? A cryptic note? This is every red flag in the book. This is how horror movies start. Human trafficking, a weird cult, some kind of creepy pretty woman fantasy." "You cannot be serious," Lena ran a hand through her hair. I know. It's insane." But the note, "Your talent is needed." He saw. He heard. "He heard you tell me how to get to the new home goods without hitting rush hour," Chloe countered, throwing her hands up. "For all you know, this guy has some bizarre obsession with traffic patterns. Lena, you don't know anything about him. How did he even get your address?" The question hung in the air, heavy and unnerving. When the known is slowly suffocating you, is the unknown worth the risk? Lena lay awake that night, staring at the familiar cracks in her bedroom ceiling, the shadows of the streetlights playing across the walls. Her cramped home, once a sanctuary, now felt like a cage. She thought of the pile of laundry waiting, the endless meal planning, the relentless, beautiful, but ultimately suffocating routine. Then, her mind drifted to the dusty geography thesis in the attic, the forgotten academic dreams, the vast, complex mental maps she built every day for errands, felt like a tiny, insignificant fraction of what her mind was capable of. The private jet ticket wasn't just a piece of paper. It was a doorway, a chance to be more than a mom who mapped markets for her family. A chance to be the cartographer she was always meant to be. The fear was real, Chloe's warnings logical. But the pull of the unknown, the intoxicating possibility of escape, was stronger. She chose the impossible. Now what? The next morning, before the first blush of dawn had truly painted the sky, Lena stood on her front porch, a small, worn carry-on bag at her feet. Chloe, her face etched with worry but her eyes fierce with loyalty, hugged her tightly. "I'm serious, Lena," Chloe whispered. "I've put a tracking app on your phone. Don't you dare turn it off. And I want you to check in with me every 3 hours. If I don't hear from you, I'm calling the embassy, the FBI, the CIA. I swear to God. Lena managed a watery smile. I'll be careful, I promise. At precisely 8 a.m., a black Mercedes-Benz S-Class sedan, identical to the one from yesterday, pulled up to the curb. A chauffeur in a crisp black suit stepped out. He didn't ask for her name, he simply nodded and said, "Miss Petrova, we are ready when you are." Lena took a deep breath, a mix of terror and exhilarating hope surging through her. She looked at Chloe, then at the sleek, waiting car. She was going. What if your everyday genius was hiding in plain sight, from suburban mom to private jet passenger, the ultimate glow-up? The hum of the Gulfstream G650 was a lullaby of luxury, utterly alien to Lena Petrova's ears. Cream leather seats cradled her, polished mahogany gleamed around her, and the subtle silver crest of Thorne Innovations, a stylized compass rose, was everywhere. Below her world, the familiar grid of streets, the patchwork of suburban roofs, shrank into an abstract painting, then vanished into a haze of clouds. It felt like a dream she hadn't earned, a life stolen from someone else. A quick shaky text to Chloe, asterisk, "I'm on the plane. It's unreal," was the only tether to the ground she'd left behind. She was untethered, suspended between the known and a future that was a complete and terrifying unknown. What happens when you step into a world you don't belong in? The ascent was silent, smooth, effortless. Her arrival in New York City was equally seamless. A private car whisking her from a discreet tarmac to a soaring Manhattan skyscraper. The luxury apartment, Julian Thorne's residence, was a palace of glass and steel. Panoramic views of the city stretched endlessly, a glittering tapestry of lights that made her modest suburban home feel like a distant, forgotten memory. Modern minimalist decor, sleek lines, and original art pieces whispered of a world Lena had only glimpsed in magazines. She stood in the vast living space, her small travel bag at her feet, feeling not awe, but a profound sense of inadequacy. She was a misplaced piece in an impossibly grand puzzle. He saw your hidden talent. Now he needs it to win a corporate war. As dusk settled, casting long, dramatic shadows across the city, Lena was led into a private study. Julian Thorne stood by a transparent tablet, the soft glow illuminating his sharp features. He was dressed simply, a dark, well-cut sweater, his gaze as quietly intense as she remembered from the coffee shop. "Miss Petrova," he said, his voice a calm, low baritone, "thank you for coming." He gestured to a leather armchair. "I observed you at the park. Your ability to map, to predict patterns in the seemingly random flow of urban life. It's exceptional. An unseen masterpiece, if you will." He paused, his eyes locking onto hers. "I need that ability." Thorne Innovations is facing a unique challenge. A rival, Nexus Logistics, operates with a supply chain that appears chaotic, unpredictable, yet it's terrifyingly effective. They're destabilizing our market. I need you to analyze their movements, to predict the unpredictable. Can chaos be predicted? Her memory holds the key. Julian leaned forward, his expression grave. Nexus Logistics, led by its eccentric founder, Victor Kale, thrives on disruption. Their routes, their delivery schedules, their entire logistical network, it's a labyrinth designed to defy conventional analysis. Our best data scientists, our most advanced AI, they see only noise. He gestured to complex visualizations on his tablet, a swirling vortex of lines and nodes. "But I saw you, Lena. I saw how you mapped the ebb and flow of traffic, how you instinctively understood the unseen currents of a city. Nexus isn't just a competitor. They're a market anomaly, a chaos engine. I need you to find the pattern and asterisk their chaos before they corner the global logistics market. I need you to predict their next move." Lena felt a growing sense of responsibility, a thrilling jolt of intellectual stimulation. The ultimate corporate skeptic meets the ultimate wildcard. The next morning, Lena was escorted to Thorne Innovations headquarters, a monolithic structure of glass and steel. In a sleek conference room, Julian introduced her to Evelyn Reed, his chief operating officer. Evelyn was impossibly chic in a perfectly tailored suit, her dark hair pulled back severely, her eyes a piercing gray. They swept over Lena with a cool, dismissive glance. "Miss Petrova," Evelyn said, her voice crisp and laced with an accent that was a hybrid of British boarding school and American corporate law. "A stay-at-home mom, I understand? Julian has a penchant for seeing potential in the most unlikely of places. Though I confess, I don't quite understand the purpose of this experiment." Lena felt herself shrink under the weight of Evelyn's thinly veiled disdain. Can a stay-at-home mom decipher a billion-dollar mystery? Lena was then led to a spacious office with a breathtaking city view, a space probably worth more than her entire life savings. On her desk, a mountain of data awaited. Financial reports, shipping manifests, market analyses, and countless charts detailing Nexus logistics, past movements. It was a deluge. Evelyn appeared in the doorway, a faint, condescending smile playing on her lips. "You're Mission Control, Miss Petrova. Don't worry about the corporate jargon. Just play pretend detective. Try not to get lost in the numbers." The door clicked shut, leaving Lena alone with the daunting stacks of paper and the crushing weight of expectation. She looked out at the sprawling city, a world of intricate patterns, and a flicker of determination ignited within her. Her new office, a glass-walled eyrie high above Manhattan, should have felt inspiring. Instead, on her first day at Thorne Innovations, Lena Petrova felt like an archaeologist staring at a digital Pompeii. Julian Thorne's team had delivered an avalanche of data. Charts, spreadsheets, shipping manifests, financial reports, a dizzying, complex tapestry of Nexus logistics movements. Her photographic memory, a gift that had effortlessly mapped grocery aisles and school runs, now felt disjointed, overwhelmed. She stared at screens filled with columns of numbers, rows of dates, and endless lists of ports, feeling a profound sense of frustration. This wasn't just about memorizing. This was about Stert's connection, about finding the unseen threads that wove through the chaos. She knew the data was all there, etched into her mind, but without a map, without a key, it was just noise. The city lights outside her window mirrored the jumbled data on her screens as Lena worked late into the night. Exhausted but unwilling to yield, she pushed away the traditional corporate metrics. Instead, she leaned into her own unique logic, the mom logic that had optimized her family's life. She began to categorize the Nexus data not by profit margins or market share, but by flow, where things moved freely. She identified bottlenecks, unexpected delays or congestion points, and detours, seemingly illogical routes that might hide a deeper purpose. Lena started to visualize the entire global supply chain as a vast, living map, constantly shifting, breathing, and occasionally throwing a tantrum like a toddler on a tight schedule. A faint, almost imperceptible pattern began to emerge, like a hidden river flowing beneath a frozen landscape. The next morning, Evelyn Reed, sharp as a freshly sharpened pencil, appeared in Lena's office. Her eyes, cool and analytical, scanned Lena's whiteboard, covered in hand-drawn maps and arrows. "Miss Petrova," Evelyn began, her voice crisp, "do you even know what EBITDA means? Or CAGR?" Lena met her gaze, a spark of defiance igniting within her. "No, Ms. Reed, I don't," she admitted, her voice steady. "But I know that Nexus's shipments to the Pacific Northwest consistently bypass the most efficient port, choosing a smaller, more congested one, especially during peak fishing season. It makes no financial sense, but it creates a predictable, albeit chaotic, ripple effect across their entire West Coast distribution. Perhaps that's more important than earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization." Evelyn's smug expression faltered, replaced by a flicker of genuine surprise. Later that day, in Julian Thorne's office, Evelyn launched into a familiar complaint. "Alexander, with all due respect, Miss Petrova's methods are unorthodox. She's sketching maps on a whiteboard and talking about fishing season. This is a multi-billion-dollar operation, not a kindergarten art project." Julian Thorne listened, his gaze thoughtful, a slight smile playing on his lips. "Evelyn," he said, his voice calm but firm, "I didn't bring Lena here to recite financial jargon. I brought her here because she sees what others don't. She sees the patterns, the human elements, the geographic nuances that your teams, for all their impressive data, have consistently overlooked. Her, Unprofessional methods are precisely what we need to map the chaos of Nexus. Evelyn's jaw tightened, but she remained silent. Julian had made his position clear. 2 nights later, the office was quiet, save for the hum of Lena's monitors. She stared at a complex visualization of Nexus's recent movements, a puzzle finally clicking into place. Her mind, now fully immersed in the rhythm of the supply chain, connected a series of seemingly random shipments from Nexus to a regional festival in the Midwest, then to an unexpected cold front moving in from Canada. It was a bizarre, almost intuitive leap. Nexus wasn't just moving goods. They were reacting to localized, often non-economic events. Lena drew a bold red circle on her digital map. A major delay, perhaps even a reroute, would hit Nexus's Midwest distribution in less than 48 hours. A surge of exhilarating confidence washed over her. She had found it. The pattern. The following morning, the Thorne Innovation Situation Room buzzed with a nervous energy. Julian Thorne, Evelyn Reed, and the entire executive team watched the live news feeds. Then, it happened. A breaking news alert flashed across the main screen. Unexpected blizzard disrupts Midwest logistics. Nexus shipments delayed. A collective gasp filled the room. Lena's prediction had been precise, down to the exact region and the reason. Evelyn's jaw went slack, her eyes wide with disbelief. Julian Thorne, however, turned to Lena. He offered no grand pronouncements, no extravagant praise, just a subtle, approving nod, a look of quiet validation that spoke volumes. Lena met his gaze, a quiet victory blooming in her chest. The mom was right. The billionaire's gamble had paid off. From suburban maps to global logistics, her talent is undeniable. A week later, the Thorne Innovation Situation Room hummed with a different kind of energy. The air, once thick with skepticism, now carried a current of anticipation. Lena Petrova, no longer the timid newcomer, stood before the vast display screens, her unique visual maps glowing behind her. She spoke with a calm authority that had grown with each accurate prediction. Her voice, clear and precise, explained the intricate dance of Nexus logistics, supply chain, identifying potential choke points and unexpected diversions. The team, a mix of analysts and executives, leaned forward, their faces illuminated by the data, hanging on her every word. Even Evelyn Reed, seated at Julian's right, listened intently, her usual sharp gaze softened by a grudging respect, though a hint of challenge still lingered in her eyes. Lena had made them dependent on her unseen cartography. The game just got harder. Can she keep up? The fragile calm was shattered the very next day. Julian Thorne found Lena in her office, a grim set to his jaw. "Nexus has moved," he stated, his voice low, "and it's unlike anything we've seen before. Their distribution strategy has become even more erratic. It's almost as if they're deliberately trying to defy prediction, to introduce a new layer of pure chaos." He gestured to the screens, where new data streams pulsed with an unsettling, unpredictable rhythm. Lena's stomach tightened. The familiar maps in her mind, usually so clear, now felt distorted, the pathways obscured by an intentional fog. The pressure intensified, a heavy cloak settling over her shoulders. Could she find a pattern in truly random noise? Was her unique gift finally facing a challenge it couldn't overcome? What happens when your superpower hits a wall? Lena worked late into the night, the city lights a distant, shimmering backdrop to her intellectual struggle. Her office was a maelstrom of data. Screens filled with shipping manifests, weather patterns, economic indicators, and her own intricate hand-drawn maps. But the new Nexus movements defied all logic. They zigged when they should have zagged, halted when they should have surged. Every geographical, logistical, or economic model she applied crumbled. Frustration gnawed at her, a bitter taste. She ran a hand through her hair, exhausted. It wasn't just about memorizing data points anymore. It was about understanding the asterisk why. She was missing a key variable, something beyond pure geography, beyond the cold, hard numbers. The chaos felt truly random, a wall against her superpower. Sometimes the answer is found in the most unexpected places. Later that evening, back in the quiet luxury of her apartment, Lena called Chloe. She spoke in vague terms, describing the, quote, unpredictable patterns and the missing piece without divulging corporate secrets. Chloe listened patiently, her familiar face a welcome sight on the video call. Sounds like one of Leo's tantrums on the playground. Chloe mused. You think you know exactly what he's going to do, then he does the exact opposite just to surprise you. You gotta think like a 5-year-old, Lena. Or, a mom. Sometimes the chaos isn't random. It's just to throw you off. Lena paused, the receiver halfway to her ear. A mom's intuition. A simple observation, yet it struck a chord deep within her. What if chaos wasn't random, but a human fingerprint? Early the next morning, a jolt of pure adrenaline shot through Lena. Chloe's words echoed in her mind. Think like a mom. What if Nexus's chaos wasn't a flaw but an asterisk feature? Not random, but deliberately unpredictable? A signature of one individual? She began sifting through the data again, this time looking not for logistical patterns, but for human ones. Impulsive detours, sudden, seemingly irrational pivots, a pattern of defiance, almost artistic in its disruption. She pulled up the dossier on Victor Kale, Nexus Logistics, eccentric founder, a notorious risk-taker, a maverick who played chess with the market. The chaos wasn't a bug, it was Kale's personality, writ large across the global supply chain. A human fingerprint. She sees the man behind the machine. Can she predict his next move? Lena presented her new theory to Julian Thorne later that morning. She didn't have charts or graphs for this. It's not about the routes, Julian, she explained, a fire in her eyes. It's about the asterisk mind behind the routes. Victor Kale isn't optimizing for efficiency. He's optimizing for disruption. He's playing a game, a psychological one. His chaos is a calculated triple bluff designed to make us overthink, to make us look for patterns that aren't there. He wants us to believe he's random, when in fact, he's just predictable in his unpredictability. Julian leaned forward, his analytical gaze fixed on her. A slow, intrigued smile touched his lips. You see the man behind the machine, he murmured. Can you predict his next move? The air in Thorne Innovations' main conference room hummed with a tension thick enough to cut. Julian Thorne stood at the head of the polished obsidian table, Lena Petrova at his right, a silent anchor in the storm of corporate expectation. Before the assembled executive team, Julian laid out the new strategy, his voice a low, steady current in the charged atmosphere. Our counter-strategy against Nexus Logistics hinges entirely on the predictive models developed by Lena Petrova. He gestured to the vast display screens, now filled with Lena's intricate living maps. Not just data points, but flows, currents, and imagined human decisions. She has identified a unique pattern, a human signature within Victor Kale's seemingly chaotic movements. We are betting on that signature. Lena felt the weight of every gaze, a crushing burden of responsibility. The fate of a billion-dollar company, the very stability of Thorne Innovations, rested on her intuition, on the maps she'd once drawn to optimize grocery runs. Evelyn Reed, seated across from them, remained quiet for once, her expression a tight, controlled mask. The skepticism was still there, etched in the subtle clench of her jaw, but it was subdued, a viper coiled, waiting for a misstep. Julian's trust, however, was a tangible force, a shield against the doubt. Lena took a deep, steadying breath. The plan was in motion. What if the chaos was an illusion, designed to hide a deeper, more calculated madness? Days bled into each other in the Thorne Innovations Situation Room, a glass-walled command center where screens glowed with live market data, supply chain movements, and Nexus's every digital footprint. The team was a tableau of anxious anticipation, faces illuminated by the frantic dance of numbers. Each ping, each shift, was scrutinized, held against Lena's predictions. Lena sat beside Julian, her own heart a frantic drumbeat against her ribs. She chewed absently on her lip, her eyes scanning the data, searching for the telltale signs she'd mapped in her mind. Every second stretched, a nerve-wracking eternity. Evelyn, a silent sentinel of doubt, watched Lena from across the room, her gaze sharp, predatory, ready to pounce on any crack in Lena's composure, any deviation from the predicted path. The ticking clock of the global market echoed the frantic beat of Lena's own pulse. It was the ultimate waiting game, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Then, the hammer fell. Across the main screen, a series of red alerts flashed, followed by a rapid cascade of news feeds. Nexus Logistics had made a colossal market maneuver, A brazen, unexpected surge into a sector Lena's predictions had deemed low priority for Kale. It was massive, disorienting, and seemed to contradict everything Lena had hypothesized. A collective gasp swept through the situation room. Panic, cold and swift, began to spread, a visible contagion among the analysts. "What is this?" someone stammered. "It's completely off the map." Another executive threw his hands up in despair. Evelyn Reed's head snapped towards Lena, a triumphant, almost vicious smirk twisting her lips. "I told you so," her eyes screamed, a silent, crushing blow. Lena's stomach plummeted. Her carefully constructed patterns, her intuitive leaps, her human factor analysis. Had it all been a naive, colossal failure? Self-doubt, a venomous whisper, coiled around her. The weight of the moment threatened to crush her, the market's unpredictable shift a personal betrayal. It all fell apart. The panic in the room intensified, a rising tide threatening to drown Lena in despair. But even as the data screamed failure, a tiny, insistent voice stirred in Lena's mind. Chaos. Pattern within a pattern. She closed her eyes for a split second, forcing herself to silence the noise, to revisit the mental map of Victor Kale she'd constructed. A fleeting image flashed. A faded article about Kale's eccentric youth, his obsession with a particularly obscure game theory, known as the, quote, three-card Monte Gambit. He hadn't just been a chaotic genius. He was a asterisk player, a triple bluff. Her eyes snapped open, blazing with electrifying clarity. "No!" Lena's voice, though quiet, cut through the rising clamor like a surgeon's scalpel. Julian, who had been watching her intently, raised a hand, silencing the room. "It's not random," Lena declared, her words now a rapid-fire torrent, her finger darting towards a seemingly unrelated cluster of data on a secondary screen. "This isn't a deviation. It's a feint, a distraction. He wants us to overreact here so he can strike Maltrader." Her finger jabbed at another point on the map, a seemingly innocuous port in a distant, forgotten corner of their global supply chain. The impossible was suddenly terrifyingly clear. Lena was a whirlwind of renewed confidence, her voice imbued with the authority of absolute certainty. "Kale's not moving into Sector Alpha for profit. He's moving there to draw our resources, to make us think he's gone conventional. But his real target is Sector Delta. He's anticipating the next wave of our tech, rerouting a critical component through a seemingly impossible bottleneck, knowing our models wouldn't predict it unless they accounted for his personality." She pointed at the screen, a new, daring countermove forming in her mind. "We don't chase the feint. We hit his true objective now, before he can consolidate." The room was silent, then a buzz of confused murmurs. Evelyn, her face a mask of fury, burst out. "This is insane, Julian! It's a fantasy! You can't base a multi-billion-dollar response on a childhood game and a asterisk feeling." Julian Thorne didn't even glance at his COO. His eyes, fixed on Lena, held a flicker of something profound. Recognition. Absolute trust. He gave a sharp, decisive nod. "Execute Phase Gamma. Divert all assets to Sector Delta, now!" The team scrambled. A flurry of urgent commands and frantic keyboard clicks, the biggest gamble of Thorne Innovations' history was underway, all on the word of a mom who mapped the market. The next moment stretched into an agonizing eternity. Then a single sharp beep. Then another. And another. The screens in the situation room, moments ago awash in red alerts and panic, began to shift. Green graphs surged upwards. Market indicators for Nexus Logistics plunged, their audacious feint now exposed as a catastrophic miscalculation. Lena's prediction had been flawless. Victor Kale, caught completely off guard by Thorne Innovations' preemptive strike, found his critical supply lines severed, his planned consolidation in Sector Delta utterly dismantled. The room erupted. Cheers, shouts of relief, and exclamations of disbelief filled the air. Evelyn Reed stood frozen, her face pale, utterly defeated, the triumphant smirk replaced by a gaping astonishment. Julian Thorne, however, turned to Lena. His eyes, usually so analytical, now shone with a warmth and profound admiration she had never seen before. He offered a small, genuine smile. "You didn't just map the chaos, Lena," he said, his voice quiet amidst the celebration. "You mastered it." The mom who mapped the market had just won the war. What if the wildest gamble of your life led to the most unexpected reward? The fluorescent glow of the Situation Room had faded, replaced by the soft, diffused light of Julian Thorne's private office. He sat behind his sleek, transparent desk, a faint, almost imperceptible smile playing on his lips as Lena entered. "Miss Petrova," he began, his voice a calm, low baritone, "you not only mapped the chaos, you mastered it. You saw the unseen. It's clear that Thorne Innovations needs your unique vision, permanently." Lena's heart, which had been racing for days, settled into a steady, grateful rhythm. "I'm offering you the role of head of predictive logistics. A generous salary, a dedicated team, and all the resources you need to build out your division. You are, quite simply, indispensable." It was an offer beyond anything she could have dreamed of just weeks ago, a lifeline to a future she thought was lost forever. But Lena, the mom who had once navigated grocery aisles with the precision of a general, was no longer the same woman who had arrived in New York. The quiet desperation had been replaced by a quiet confidence, the yearning by a sense of her own immeasurable worth. She took a breath, recalling a story she had once heard, a whisper of a woman who dared to ask for more. "Thank you, Mr. Thorne," Lena said, her voice steady. "It's an incredible offer. But I have a counter-proposal." Julian raised an eyebrow, a flicker of genuine amusement in his analytical eyes. "I'm listening." "I don't want the job as a gift," she continued, her gaze unwavering. "I want to lead a new division, intuitive logistics, a place where we blend data with human insight. Give me a budget, let me build my own team, and I want a performance-based contract. If I succeed in expanding our predictive capabilities by X% in 2 years, I want a stake in the subsidiary. A real one." She wasn't just asking for a job. She was demanding ownership of her genius. Julian Thorne leaned back in his chair, a broad, brilliant smile transforming his face. It was the first time Lena had seen him truly light up, and it was disarmingly sincere. "A stay-at-home mom, who I met because she could optimize a school run, is now negotiating equity with me," he said, shaking his head in disbelief, a soft laugh escaping him. "I knew my instincts were right about you, Lena Petrova. I just had no idea how right." He extended his hand, his grip firm and decisive. "You have a deal. Welcome to Thorne Innovations, Miss Petrova. Or should I say, welcome to your new empire." Lena shook his hand, a current of electricity passing between them. It wasn't just a contract. It was a partnership forged in mutual respect, a testament to the fact that true genius often hides in the most unexpected places. She was no longer just a mom who mapped errands. She was a cartographer of chaos, and the world was now her canvas. That evening, looking out at the glittering tapestry of Manhattan lights from her lavish apartment, Lena called Chloe. "You won't believe it," she began, a joyous tremor in her voice. She recounted the meeting, the counterproposal, the equity deal. On the other end, Chloe's initial gasp turned into a series of ecstatic squeals. "Are you serious? Lena? Oh my God, I knew it! I knew there was something more to you than just knowing the fastest route to the discount store." Chloe's voice, full of unbridled pride, was a warm balm against the lingering surrealism of Lena's new life. It was a grounding connection to her past, a reminder of how far she had come, and the unwavering belief of the friend who had always seen glimpses of the extraordinary within the ordinary mom. Lena smiled, a profound sense of peace settling over her. Her old life wasn't gone. It had simply expanded, woven into the vast, intricate map of her incredible new journey. She built an empire from her unique vision. This is her world now. A few months later, the glass-walled conference room at Thorne Innovations hummed with a different energy. Lena Petrova, once a stay-at-home mom navigating grocery aisles, now stood at the head of a gleaming table, commanding the attention of a dozen sharp minds. Her voice, clear and resonant, sliced through complex data, presenting intuitive logistics strategies for a new global market. On the massive display behind her, intricate, vibrant maps swirled and reformed, not just data points, but living, breathing predictions, each a testament to her unique genius. She no longer felt out of place. This was where she belonged. A profound sense of purpose, of competence, settled deep within her. The world, it seemed, was finally catching up to her map. Your past dreams can become your future reality. Later that evening, in her Manhattan apartment, Lena found herself reflecting. On a sleek minimalist bookshelf, a framed copy of her dusty university thesis, Predictive Geographic Modeling for Urban Environments, stood beside a holographic display projecting a complex, real-time map of global logistics. The contrast was stark, yet the connection undeniable. From mapping the most efficient route to the dry cleaner to predicting the erratic movements of a multi-billion-dollar rival, her life had been a continuous journey of mapping. A soft, contemplative smile touched her lips. It wasn't just a new job, it was the reclamation of a self she thought was lost forever, a dream remapped into a vibrant reality. The billionaire and the mom, an unlikely duo changing the world. Julian Thorne leaned back in his office chair, a rare, genuine smile gracing his lips, as Lena detailed her proposed market entry strategy for a burgeoning South American region. Your insights into the cultural nuances of supply and demand are unprecedented, Lena, he said, deferring to her. Evelyn still argues for a purely data-driven approach, but your human factor has proven more reliable. Their partnership, once a mysterious proposition, had blossomed into a formidable synergy, his strategic vision complementing her intuitive, grounded understanding of patterns. They were two different forms of genius, bound by mutual respect and a shared purpose to chart truly uncharted territories. What hidden talent are you underestimating? Lena's story isn't just about a lucky break. It's a powerful reminder that the genius within you, the skills you dismiss as just remembering or mom logic, might be the very key to unlocking your wildest dreams. Her journey from suburban errands to global logistics proves that immense value often hides in plain sight, waiting for the courage to step onto that private jet, to challenge the skeptics, and to demand your true worth. Don't miss your next great story. What hidden talent do you have that the world just hasn't seen yet? What would you have done if you found that sleek black package? If this story inspired you or made you think, please give this video a thumbs up. It truly helps us bring more stories like this to you. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an incredible journey. And share this video with someone who needs to be reminded that their big break might be just one observation, one conversation, or one moment of courage away. Thank you for listening.